I saw a stack of fences, right? They're like those really thin fences, they're metal and they're stacked up on top of each other. And it reminded me of a memory I have, very good memory of me and a couple of my cousins and my brother. And it was us, it was a memory of us on our block at the time. And there was like, I felt like a security guard or something, or a police officer, I forget, but he would patrol this block, right? And there was these stacked fences on one side of our block, and it was fenced off, but it was only the fences. But right next to it were some duffel, like big bins, so you could jump onto the bins and jump onto these the trampoline, aka fences. And I remember we would all take turns in like watching this guy go around and making sure we didn't get caught, and we'd all jump in and we'd just have so much fun with it. And I think at the time it was just one of those things that was so fun. I loved it. Like it was a trampoline, right? There was loads of people, everyone was laughing, everyone was giggling. I think my brother electrocuted himself, if I remember correctly, from the friction of the bin. He electrocuted himself. Yeah. There's loads of these funny memories as a kid that I do treasure so much. There was one, my brother used to come pick me up when I was younger from school, and I was, I've talked about it many times, but I was terrible. I could barely spell my own name, but I was rubbish in school, right? And I remember we were going, on the bus, and we were going back and forth at each other, just ripping into each other. And I don't know what it was, but all my brother said was, "Shut up, Cameron, you can't even spell your own name, right?" And it was just, I don't know what it was, but it just made us laugh so much. And it was like an hour trip to go back home, and we were on the second bus. So the second bus took a little bit longer. It was probably about 40 minutes. So 20 minutes on the first, 40, and we were on the second one. And I was laughing and laughing and laughing for probably about 40 to 30 minutes straight. Now my laugh at the time, it sounded so weird. It was it was one of those laughs you just want to laugh at, right? And I remember it so vividly because my brother couldn't stop laughing because of my laugh, and there was a guy in the front, just in front of us, and he's trying to not laugh, like he's not trying to be rude by laughing at my laugh, and he can't hold it in. Oh, and it was just so funny, and for no reason, that was all that happened, but it was just such a funny memory. Yeah, it's a great memory. One of my happy memories with one of my little sisters was teaching her how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And I got quite good at it at the time. And I taught her how to solve it, and she got pretty good as well. But I remember being so proud of her because it was one of those things that realistically, learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube, it's a task. And especially really learning how to do it, not just step by step, but really learning it off by heart. And she got pretty good at it. But the best memory I had was actually my best solve. I think I did about 19 or 18 seconds. And she was the only one there to see it. And I was just over the moon. It was it was the best I ever got at it. And I don't know, I think as a kid, I was happy for myself, and then to see her doing really well with it as well, and that I taught her, it made me happy, and it made me happy that she was happy as well. We would just sit there for hours sometimes, just solving cubes and racing, and stuff like that. It was really, really fun. There's a lot of memories that stick with me, and a lot of them were in a house where I would say our life was probably more normal than anything. It was just very normal. And I think for a brief period of time, it was, we kind of acted like a normal family. I mean, whatever normal is, right? But I remember quite a lot of the times, dinner. Dinner was great. Like, we'd always be around the table, and there was a good few dinners that I remember being really, really funny. But I remember my sister hated the, my older sister hated the metal on teeth, and she would get so annoyed. And my brother would wind her up because he ate so horribly. He eats like a monster, and it would annoy her, and they would go at each other, and then my mum would get involved, and then there's me just laughing, and then my other sister doesn't want to eat what's on the table, and uh, it, those types of memories, it's like you don't realize at the time they seem bad, but actually it's quite a good memory to look back on. It's quite funny. I remember for a long, long time, one of my younger sisters wanted to watch Monster House, and we had a laptop, sorry, a computer, and it was one of, I think that one, there was that movie and one other movie. That's all we had on that. So when it come to picking, it was really the only film to watch. And I don't know why, but every single night for it felt like a year probably. Every single night for a year we watched Monster House. Now it's a good film, but damn, it took a toll on me. I'll tell you that. Here's a good memory. So, so I'm a little kid. Now, bear in mind, I'm probably maybe 6, 7, somewhere around there, and I'm quite a big kid for my age. I'm quite chubby, right? And my brother, on the other hand, is definitely not big for his age, and we'll just say this: he's quite frail. He didn't eat properly, and he got very unlucky with his knees. And yeah, so quite frail, right? And we had this purple cover, and he rolled up on it, like a worm, so he can move his arms. I laugh now, but it's so bad. Anyway, so he's rolled up on this thing, and there's a big debate here whether he said jump or not. But I was on the sofa, he was on the floor. I'm pretty sure he said jump, but I mean, I could be wrong. Anyway, I've jumped onto him, and he's like, fuck, and he's screaming out. He's like, go get mum now. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, Cameron, go get mum. And I run out, and I go, and I get my mum, and I'm like, mum, and she's talking with someone. I don't remember who it was, but she was talking with someone, and it was like, if my mum said go away, you go away, right? So I've come back to my brother still screaming on the floor. I'm like, look, mum doesn't want to come, mate. Like, she ain't coming. He's like, Cameron, go get mum. I go again, scared out of my life. She comes over, and basically they've unraveled him, and they've realised that his kneecap had popped out, and they just clicked it back into place. It was funny. It was not funny at the time, but now when we talk about it, it was quite funny. I don't know why I jumped, and I'm pretty sure he said to jump, so I don't know. He reckons that he didn't say that. I reckon he did. No clue, but it was funny nevertheless. I remember my little sister. She would always, because I'm terrible with dates. I have no clue. I probably couldn't even read out the 12 months if I tried. But she would always remind me of the dates. And also my youngest sibling also is terrible with dates, so it's kind of funny. But for me, my younger sister was always really good academically and quite naturally smart. when it comes to those sorts of things. So I relied on her for a few things, but I remember one time we were wrapping some presents, and she was just shit hot at it, just for no reason. And I'm like, well, how are you wrapping presents that good, right? I had no clue how to wrap a present, and she taught me how to, and it was one of those moments like, wow, like I was very young at the time, and so was she, but it was sort of like, wow, like just because it was one of those things as a kid, like oh, I'm older, so I know better, but it's never that. It was all like, I mean, I already knew that she was so much smarter than me, but it was another moment just to show me that like, just because I'm older, don't mean nothing, right? And as a kid, when you're older, you think you know better, but there's never the case. There was one time we were at my nan's, and I was with my older sister, and at the end of my nan's garden, she had like a little shelter thing, and we were in there. I don't know what we were doing, but it started chucking it down with rain. And me and my older sister, we just sat there for a bit. It's kind of nice, but then we just pelted it back to the door. But before we did, we were just like, all right, 3, 2, 1, and we just ran for it. That's nice. As a kid, I really didn't like to eat things unless I had ketchup with it. And when I was with my dad and at my nan's, I don't know what it was like with it would not give me enough ketchup, or I had too much probably. I would hate having dry food. I hated it so much. And the thing is, we had a dog called Xena, and well, they basically shut the door to the kitchen so the dog couldn't get in when we were eating. So what I would do is foods I didn't like, I'd get them in my hands and I'd put them in a bowl. And then I'd just say like I'm going to the toilet or something. And then I'd walk out and I'd feed like some chicken, maybe some potatoes to the dog. And I don't know what, like as a kid it was just like, it was just funny. I have a picture of Xena up here, and Xena was my first dog. And a lot of good memories are involved with that dog. When I think of like when we went to the park, we kicked some ball around, maybe we went swimming, then come back, or even like chilling at my nan's. These good memories. I can always see a glimpse of Xena just there, whether she's running about going crazy or she's just sitting there, on the floor chilling. And it's like it was never I never had a sad memory where I can remember Xena there. It's kind of a sign of happiness for me. So she has a big place in my heart, really, for, I guess, my memories. Alright, I think that's all I've got today. I didn't know what to talk about, really, but I guess I've turned on the camera and this is what's popped up in my head, so be it. So yeah, I will see you guys